Hey babes, welcome back to my channel. I know I've been MIA for a little while. Not that I was fully consistently present before, but I did tell myself I was going to try this year, but haven't really been showing up. But for today, I decided I would do something about it. So I've taken a break from watching the Call Her Daddy documentary to talk about depressive episodes. For those of you who do not have depression, you might not be super familiar with them. Basically, for most people, depression is a lifelong illness. I am a lucky member of that club. A depressive episode is basically just when your symptoms are worse, because there will be times in life where you're not feeling the symptoms of depression. Things are going just fine. There will be times when those symptoms will flare up again, and when it sticks around for a little while, that's when you're in that depressive episode. And I can tell you from experience, it's not a fun place to be. So today we're going to talk about recognizing the signs of a depressive episode, how to exit one, and how to get ahead of the next one. The signs of a depressive episode are going to look different for everyone. For me, the physical symptoms are things like oversleeping, not waking up to my alarm, showing up late to work, not showering, laundry and dishes and trash piling up in my room, not taking my medications on time or forgetting to refill them, not drinking enough water, ordering a lot of fast food. If someone actually comes up and says, "Hey, are you doing okay? You don't seem like you are." My siblings that I live with can usually tell how I'm feeling by the foods that I'm eating. It's kind of a household joke that if I'm making microwave nachos or Totino's pizza, that I'm not doing well. Emotionally, I've noticed I get irritated more easily, and I have a lot less empathy towards other people. I cry very easily and unprompted. A lot of anhedonia, which is the inability to feel pleasure. I feel a lot of disgust with myself and a lot of shame about the condition that I've let things get into. A lot of sadness about time that's been lost. I think for me, the emotion that most easily is felt during this time is anger and irritation, and definitely the anhedonia, like the lack of pleasure. One of the main symptoms is not enjoying the things you used to enjoy. And for me, it's not like this deep, overwhelming sadness that I think a lot of people assume depression is like. It's just sort of like this nothingness that sort of settles over my brain. Mentally, I've noticed some time blindness, which is a symptom of my ADHD, but also just being so zoned out with the depression that I don't realize time is passing. And I'll think like an hour has passed, and really I've been watching Netflix for 7 hours, not really being conscious of the longer times that have passed, like weeks go by, and I'm not really aware of that, and I'm not really processing that, just sort of like in a fog. A lot more anxiety and a lot more OCD behaviors. Intrusive thoughts for sure, feeling like if I think about something bad, it will happen. Definitely hopelessness, like it's never gonna get any better. And what's the point, because I'm just gonna end up in another depressive episode anyways. And then the one people don't really like to talk about, which is suicidal ideation. It definitely used to be a lot worse. Now it's kind of softer, if that makes sense. For me, it's more like I'm so tired, I just want to go to sleep forever. Like I just want things to stop, I want things to be quiet, that sort of thing. Where it's not like an actual desire to die, but more a desire to escape the circumstances that I'm in. It's important when you're dealing with depression and depressive episodes to be conscious of where your mental state is at, where your emotional state is at, where your physical state is at. And at least for me, it's not something that comes naturally or easily the way it does for a lot of neurotypical people. It can take some time for me to notice that I'm in a depressive episode, because some of the signs are just parts of my everyday life, even when I'm doing well. Let's talk about what to do once you notice you're in the episode. The primary concern with this part is going to be your safety, your physical, mental, and emotional safety and well-being. The thing I always start with once I notice I'm in a depressive episode is what I like to call treading water. So I essentially know that I'm in a dark situation, but I don't currently have the ability to actively fix it. So I kind of just have to make sure I'm okay and get through this time until I'm feeling better and can start to rearrange my situation. My go-to is definitely removing myself from a situation where I feel overstimulated or that I feel is triggering harmful thoughts and feelings. A lot of times that can look like isolation, which can be harmful, but I think it's important to weigh that against the harm that comes from forcing yourself to be in social situations that aren't helping you either. For me, I think some degree of isolation is necessary when I'm in a depressive episode, and part of that comes from recharging my energy and recovering from burnout and kind of resting and not really having to interact with people too much, really just taking the time to like sit quietly and reflect. I employ a lot of distraction tools, so listening to music, reading a book, watching a movie, basically anything to keep me present in the moment, but not dwell on how things are going inside my head. Journaling is a really big one for me. Multiple times now I've fallen into a depressive episode and thought, oh, I should journal. And when I open it up to see the last time I journaled, it was like 6 weeks ago. But it's definitely one of my favorite strategies, not just to get me out of like an urgently harmful situation, but also just in general. I think it, again, keeps me more present and makes me reflect on how things are going instead of just going on autopilot. And then, disrupt your harmful thoughts. So if you're thinking, shameful thoughts about yourself, you might have to physically say it out loud. Even if you don't believe it, say it, because you have to disrupt that cycle. You have to break that cycle. Otherwise, you're just going to keep spiraling downwards. You got to pump the brakes somehow. And if you have a therapist, definitely call your therapist, make an appointment. I found that even just setting the appointment can relieve a lot of stress and a lot of negative feelings and kind of help you tread water until you get to that appointment. The next part of exiting the episode is going to be self-care. And this is not your bougie neighbor's self-care. This is like legit taking care of yourself. You're going to take a shower. If you don't have it in you to wash your hair, don't wash your hair. Dry shampoo is your best friend. If you don't have it in you to take a shower, get some baby wipes. But I promise you, you will feel better as soon as you shower. If you have the energy and the supplies, go ahead and change your sheets. Because I personally don't like getting into a crusty, dusty bed after I've just taken a shower and I'm all squeaky clean. Sometimes it's what you gotta do. And I've done it before and I'm sure I'll do it again. But the best case scenario is being able to change your sheets. I'm definitely one of those people whose mood goes up like 10 levels just by seeing a clean set of sheets and like a nicely made bed. It just gives you a sense of accomplishment. You need to drink water, because I can guarantee you have not been drinking water. You need to fill your pill box. If you have medications, you need to get a pill box or have them out where they're visible and within reach where like you can literally just wake up and roll over and they're right there. So keep your pill box and your water in your bedroom and make sure at some point during the week you're filling up that pill box so you're ready to go. And then open your curtains. Let in the daylight. I know it's like the most annoying thing in the world, but vitamin D is good for you. Seeing the outside world and the daylight is good for you. It brings you back to reality instead of just looking at 4 blank walls. I don't know about you guys, but I kind of forget that the world exists outside of my room when I have the door closed and the curtains closed. It also makes it harder for me to get up in the morning. I promise you it may take a day or two, but you will feel better if you open your curtains and let in the daylight. And this next part is what I like to call playing catch up. You're basically gonna do the bare minimum to keep your household going after you've neglected all of your tasks for the past however long. So do a load of laundry. If you don't have clean clothes, I would say start with that. If you do have enough clean clothes for like the next week or two, wash your sheets maybe, whatever you think will be the most beneficial to you in that moment, because you're probably only going to have enough energy for 1 load of laundry. Take out your trash. If you've let trash pile up in your room, I'm not even kidding, bring a whole garbage bag into your room, shove everything in there. If you have the energy, wash your towels, because it's hard to take a shower when you don't have clean towels, and we want to make that an easier task. You basically don't want any roadblocks in between you and the things you need to do to take care of yourself. You're going to get groceries, but not anything like crazy. You're not trying to do the most right now. You're just trying to get yourself food that is easy to make, food that you like that doesn't take a lot of effort to make. So you're not constantly ordering food, but you're still feeding yourself. Like I said, really just the bare minimum, trying to keep things running until you have the energy to make bigger changes. The last part of this is going to be getting ahead of the next episode, or preventing the next episode, whatever you want to call it, but there is a very, very good chance that there will be another episode. It's unfortunate, but it is a part of living with depression, and it is better to get in front of it and set yourself up for success than to try and climb back out of the pit once you're in it. You're going to start by using the momentum that you're gaining from feeling better and climbing out of that pit to put yourself in an even better situation. You're going to clean your room. and do the rest of your laundry. Whatever didn't get done in your self-care treading water stage, do as much as you can, but also be mindful of your energy levels and be honest with yourself about how much you can do. Because if you burn yourself out trying to do too much, you're just going to end up right back in the pit. Get rid of unnecessary clutter. Again, be honest with yourself. You don't need it. It's just taking up space and making everything worse. Start planning your meals and then grocery shop. And it's okay if you're still in the stage where you're eating Totino's pizzas or Uncrustables. I love a good Uncrustable. Just make sure that you're feeding yourself. And try and get some fruits and vegetables. An apple, baby cucumbers. I really hate that the exercise, touch grass, drink water, eat well girlies were right. Diet does have an effect on mental health. Believe me, no one's angrier about that than I am. You need to create a schedule for yourself and then keep that schedule. It doesn't have to be like a routine, because I know routines don't work for some people, but you need to try and get enough sleep, because not getting enough sleep is going to make things worse. So try and go to sleep around the same time or get up around the same time every day. Keep track of how often you're showering and try and make sure it's at least every other day, depending on how sweaty you get. I don't know. I know for some people they have sensory things or other reasons that make showering difficult for them. Do what you gotta do, but again, try and take care of yourself while you're building with this momentum. Keep track of your medication refills so that you're not put in a position where you're out of medication. And then keep track of your periods if you're someone who menstruates. I am one of the people who has PMDD, premenstrual dysphoric disorder, which basically feels like the world is ending inside my head. And then I get my period and realize, oh, that's why things were so much worse. But when that time comes around, it can be helpful to have a little extra support, have a little more resources in place, and sort of prepare for it so that things don't go off the rails. Try and keep things clean. Like an organized space is an organized mind, for me at least. No bed piles. Don't pile anything up on your bed. I don't care what it is. If you let it pile up on your bed, the pile will just grow and grow and grow until you're sleeping on like the edge, just one little sliver. It also makes it less likely that you'll change your sheets, because you'd have to move all that crap off of the bed to do that, and that just seems like too much work. Try not to make any floor piles if you can help it. I personally feel a lot better about my space when I can actually, walk around without tripping and falling and breaking my neck or stepping on something important that for whatever reason I've chosen to put on the floor. Try not to leave any dishes in your room. Again, these are all things that once you start, it's kind of easier to get back in the habit of doing it and things just pile up. If you just take the 60 seconds to bring your cup back down to the sink, then it's not starting to pile up again. Journal regularly, even if you don't really feel like you need it. Just a couple sentences, what you did today, your current celebrity crush, some drama about your neighbors. But it keeps you in the habit and keeps it at the forefront of your mind so that you're more likely to do it when you do need it, but don't realize that you need it. And then also take some time for self-reflection, like actively check in with yourself about where you're at and think about things that need to change. A lot of times things will just weigh on us and we don't really notice that it's happening until it's kind of too late. And it's easier to stop the train before it gets started than it is to try and pull the brakes when it's going 100 miles an hour. Once you are feeling better, I think it's important to definitely acknowledge your negative feelings, but try and bring the positive feelings more to the forefront of your life. Think about things that you're grateful for. Spend time with people that you actually enjoy their company, and that brings positivity to you instead of taking from your energy. Find some social media that you enjoy. The internet is not your enemy. Honestly, for a lot of people, social media can cause problems. Comparison is the thief of joy. But there's also a lot of good stuff out there. I've been watching a lot of cat videos on TikTok lately because it makes me laugh and it creates dopamine or serotonin or whatever. Basically do things that create those feel-good chemicals. Endorphins, serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin. You can get endorphins from working out. I know. I hate it so much. Just go for a walk. Oxytocin you get from spending time with loved ones or like petting an animal. I don't know what gives you serotonin. Maybe almonds. And then I get my dopamine from like reading or watching a show that I really love. And yes, even social media. I think the most important part for me for getting ahead of a depressive episode has been to accept my situation. It really sucks knowing while you're in the pit that even if you manage to claw your way out, you're going to be back in it at some point. It honestly makes it a lot harder to get out of a depressive episode because it feels a little pointless and a little hopeless. But I think that knowledge has also kind of made it a little easier too, especially after rereading some journal entries and thinking about where I was a few years ago. Things do get better, they do get easier, and I think I've put myself in a better position to handle my mental health. And I think it doesn't seem as daunting to think about the possibility of another depressive episode. I think it's important to have a plan B. Essentially, if you can't do all of the things you want to do because you're in a depressive episode, go back to the treading water and the self-care and the playing catch up. Have your low energy to-do list and your high energy to-do list, and then check in with yourself and think about what you really need and make sure that you're not burning yourself out, because that's a surefire way to get back in a depressive episode. You kind of have to be adaptable to whatever your mental state is and have a full toolbox to be able to take care of yourself. So once you are out of the depressive episode, reflect on that time and think, what was helpful for me, what wasn't, and sort of create a toolbox inside your head of the different resources and the different tasks and the different things that made it better for you, so you can just revert back to that and pull out what you need the next time you need it. And I do think one of my strengths is that I enjoy time by myself, and I am able to cope with a lot of my issues by myself. And part of that is because I've had a good support system and because I've created that toolbox, and I hope that you always have a support system with you as well. But unfortunately, you're the only person who will be dealing with your mental health for the rest of your life. People will come in and out of your life. They'll be traveling or living in a different country or dealing with their own stuff. And while, again, I do advocate for a good support system, your mental health is, to a certain extent, on you. You're the one who has to live with it. You're the one who has to live inside your head. So I think it's a good idea to get comfortable with yourself, get more familiar with what's going on inside your head, and accept the situation you're in, which is that this is going to be an ongoing battle for you, and you're going to have to step up for yourself more than anyone else. That's about all I have for you today. I really, really hope this helped you. Maybe it'll help you understand a mental health issue you didn't even know you had. Maybe it'll help you understand someone else who's going through this. Either way, I hope you got something out of it. If there's any other tools or tricks you want to share for dealing with a depressive episode, please absolutely leave them in the comments, and I will go ahead and catch up with you later. Thanks for watching. Bye.